Once again, good morning. Our topic today is on lesson 1.5, and this is about solving quadratic equations by using the quadratic formula. If you remember, we already tackled three. I told you there are four. The first is extracting square roots. We apply the square root property. The second is factoring. The third is completing the square. And this morning, we'll have the last method. It is quadratic formula. Actually, you can use any of the four. And it's for you to master one or two techniques. And you can solve for quadratic equations. To start with, let us recite today's memory verse. Today's memory verse is found in Colossians 2 verses 6 and 7. It says, "Let your roots grow down into him, and let your lives be built on him." At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to solve quadratic equations by using the quadratic formula, and the other is resolve problems. So again, just like the three previous meetings, we will be able to find the roots and solve problems on quadratic equations. Tomorrow, I'll talk with you how to do your performance task. So we'll just finish it today, and tomorrow let me introduce to you performance task number 1. Now, let's first have a very brief review on finding the values of A, B, and C. Remember, a quadratic equation is in one variable, is an equation in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are real numbers. And as much as possible, a should never be equal to 0. And again, as much as possible, a should be positive. The degree of the quadratic equation, or we say the highest degree of the term or the highest exponent, is 2. Now, if this is our equation, y is the same as f of x. In our quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c, the numerical coefficient of x squared is called a. The numerical coefficient of x is called b. And the constant term, the term without any variable, we call it c. Now, for our venture activity, let me assign. Let us find the values of A, B, and C. And this time, I'll be assigning who will answer. Sorry, I want to give a chance to the rest, so others didn't get a bonus point yet. We'll get a bonus point today. Now, okay, let me write the name. What will you do? You need to tell me the values of A, B, and C. For number 1, let's have Taj. The second, let's have Vance. Next, let's have Ryan. Who else? Who is this in? The next, let's have Faith. Who is this in? What's that? Chinese letters. Then the next we'll have Janine. AP will do this one. AP, Danica. Next to Danica, Gaya. How do you pronounce your name? Gaya or Gaia?
Gaia.
Oh, Gaia. Then the other is Carmela. Okay, ready? Taj, let's start with you first. Find the values of A, B, and C. Taj, unmute. X squared plus 4x plus 4. Where is Taj? For this lesson, let's talk about the quadratic formula. Now, how to solve for the quadratic formula, or what is the quadratic formula? Now, if the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then our quadratic formula is this one. How to solve for x? We simply substitute negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. That's why a should never be equal to 0, or else if a is 0, then our quadratic formula becomes undefined. Now, how to solve the quadratic equation using the quadratic formula? Here are simple steps. Step number 1, we write the equation in standard form. Step number 2, we identify the values of A, B, and C. So those of you who are modular students, you really need to write the values of A, B, and C because I'm placing a different score for that. Then step number 3, substitute the values of A, B, and C in the quadratic formula. And step number 4, we check if the roots satisfy the equation. Now let's start. For example, here, what's the value? What are the values of A, B, and C? Okay, let's start. The value of A is 1. The value of B is positive 8. The value of C is negative 33. So we are done with the values. What will we do next? We substitute these values to our quadratic formula. So let's start. Negative B. So negative, our B is 8. So negative 8. The minus will really be there. So if your B is negative 4, then here it will be the negative of negative 4. Plus and minus the square root of B squared, 8 squared, minus 4 times A times C, all over 2A. Next, let's continue solving. Equals negative 8 plus and minus 64. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 33. Actually, the technique is you simply count the number of negative signs for the product. If the number is even, the answer is positive. But if the number is odd, then the answer will be negative. So with that one, we will have, there are 2 negative signs. So positive, plus 132 divided by 2. So we have negative 8 plus and minus square root of 196 over 2. Negative 8 plus and minus the square root of 196 is 14 over 2. Let's do case 1. Again, case 1 is the positive. So x equals negative 8 plus 14 over 2. The other is the negative. So negative 8 minus. Again, in case 1, we do plus 14. In case 2, we'll have negative 14 over 2. Why? Because that is plus and minus. Let's solve for case 1. Negative 8 plus 14 is 6 divided by 2. So x equals 3. For case 2, x equals negative 22 over 2. So our x is equal to negative 11. So what are the roots of the quadratic formula? We have 3 and negative 11. As easy as that one. Any questions before I go to example number 2? Or give me a thumbs up if you have understood it.
Ma'am,
Yes, AP.
si MJ nasa sa waiting room.
Oh, did I enable my waiting room?
He's just coming pa man.
Oh, but he's not in my waiting room.
No, he is trying to get in, man.
Okay,
That's...
let him get in first because I didn't enable my waiting room, so he can get in right away.
Okie dokie.
Okay, now let's go to the next one. Ready? Let's go to the next. Okay, in the chat box, you tell me what are the values of A, B, and C. Ready? In the chat box, let me know the values of A, B, and C. Okay, very good. The value of A is 1. The value of B is negative 10. The value of C is 19. So we'll substitute them to our quadratic formula. Ready? Negative B. So negative of B. So negative of negative 10. Minus 10, look at plus and minus square root of B squared, negative 10 squared, minus 4 times A times C, all over 2A. Okay, now let's have the negative of negative 10. Remember, if there are two negatives, the answer is positive. So the negative of negative 10 is positive 10. Plus and minus. Negative 10 squared. When a negative number is raised to an even exponent, the answer is positive. 100 minus 4 times 19 is, let me check. I might have a wrong thing. 76 minus 76 all over 2. So we now have 10 plus and minus square root of 24 over 2. Now, we can simplify square root of 24. How will we simplify that? What number can be what perfect square? Remember, a perfect square has a rational square root. What perfect square can be divided by 24 or can be multiplied to another number so that the answer is 24? What are perfect squares again? These are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, and so on. 24, not 6. 6 is not a perfect square. 4. Very good. So 24 can be written as 4 times 6. Now, what is the square root of 4? What's the square root of 4? In the chat box, what's the square root of 4? 2. Very good, Ali. So you have 2. And the square root of 6, there's no square root of 6, right? So we can write 24 as 2 square root of 6. That's why we can write it this way. Equals 10 plus and minus 2 square root of 6 all over 2. Now, if you see 10, 2, and 2 have something in common. Their GCF is 2. So we can factor them all by 2. Let's put 2 outside, divided by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Plus and minus 2 divided by 2 is 1. No need to write 1. Square root of 6. Do not divide 6 by 2. We only divide the ones outside the square root. So we can now have 2 divided by 2. So equals 1, right? We'll cancel it out. Therefore, our answer is 5 plus and minus square root of 6. Or another way to write it is 5 plus square root of 6 and what's the other one? 5 minus the square root of 6. Any questions? Or give me a thumbs up if you're already okay and ready to go to the last two. Okay, very good. Let's go. If you have questions, feel free to raise your hand, okay? Let's go to the next one. Here. Now, in the chat box, tell me what's the value of A, B, and C. Ready?
2,
A.
2, negative
8,
8, and negative 5.
in the chat box.
Sorry.
Okay. Ready in the chat box? What's the value of A, B, and C? Oh, very good. The value of A is 2. The value of B is negative 8. The value of C is negative 5. Very good. Now let's substitute it. It will be negative B. So negative of negative 8. Plus and minus, what's B? Negative 8 squared minus 4AC. 4 times A times C. All over 2A. A is 2, so 2 times 2. Negative of negative 8 is positive 8. Plus and minus. Square root of negative 8 squared is 64. Next, there are 2 negatives, so the answer is positive. 4 times 2 is 8, times 5, it's 40. All over 4. So we now have 8 plus and minus square root of 104 all over 4. Now, 104. Let us see, is there a perfect square that is a factor of 104? Anyone can tell me? 104, is there a perfect square that's a factor of 104?
4.
4. 4 times what, AP? 4 times?
26.
Very good. 4 times 26. 4 times 26. So the square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 26. So let's write it as 8 plus and minus 2 square root of 26 over 4. Now, what's the common between 8, 2, and 4? What's the common factor? The common factor is 2. Very good. So we have 2 times 8 divided by 2 is 4. Plus and minus 2 divided by 2 is 1. So square root of 26. All over 4. So 2 divided by 4, that's 1. This is 2. So let me transfer here again. So the value of our x is 4 plus and minus square root of 26 over 2. This is now our final answer. Any questions? Or give me a thumbs up if you're okay. Okay, that's good. Let's go to the next one. Ready? What's the value for A, B, and C in the chat box? What's the value for A, B, and C? A is 3, B is -7, and look, we need to transfer 6 to the other side because we need to write it in standard form. So -6 equals 0. So our C is -6. If you substitute it, I'll no longer solve for that. It's your practice. Our roots will be 3 and -2/3. Let's go to the problem. Ready? It's the same as yesterday. The product of 2 consecutive odd natural numbers is 399. Remember, these are 2 consecutive odd natural numbers. So consecutive odd natural numbers, example, 5 and 7. So let x be the first number. What's the second number? What's the gap? The gap is 2. So the second number is x plus 2. What will we do? Product. So we will multiply them. We have x times x plus 2 equals 399. So we have x squared plus 2x equals 399. We transfer this to the other side. It becomes x squared plus 2x minus 399 equals 0. So it's up to you after this part. You can do completing the square, you can do factoring, and we can do quadratic equation, or quadratic formula. So the value of A is 1. The value of B is 2. The value of C is -399. Let's substitute it. X equals -b plus and minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So -b, -2, plus and minus b squared. 2 squared minus 4. Our a is 1. Our c is -399 over 2a, 2 times 1. So -2 plus and minus, this one is 4. The other one, that's -4 times -399 is 1,596 over 2. So we now have -2 plus and minus square root of 1,600 over 2. The square root of 1,600 is 40. Sorry. So -2 plus and minus 40 over 2. But remember, we are talking of natural numbers. So these are positive. So what happened? These are positive. numbers. So let's just take the positive. -2 plus 4t divided by 2. It's 38 divided by 2. The answer is 19. So if the first one is, so if the first number is 19, what's the other number? 19 plus 2. So the other number is 21. So our two odd natural numbers are 19 and 21. Now, do you have any questions?